Hey guys, it's Andy here, and today we're back looking at Standard. I haven't posted videos for the last week or so because I've been quite ill. Getting back into it with the release of M20 come out. There's some really cool cards. A few decks have popped up. I'm not sure how impactful M20 is going to be to the meta. I don't think any of the cards really break the meta. I think a lot of the more mid-rangey decks kind of come up a bit through this set, and I think quite a few other decks are going to pop up that will become the tier 2, tier 2.5. But I don't think too much of it is going to impact what is the tier 1 decks of the format at the moment. But after rotation, anything could happen. So I'm just trying to put some decks together with the cards that we do have. After rotation, a lot of these decks will have to change, but let's see what we've got so far. This is a Dimir version of the deck that has a lot of the newer stuff that enables us to pitch stuff to the graveyard, as well as using some of the older cards in the current standard that will also synergize fairly well with it. So I'm just going to touch on the main deck here, talk about the sideboard, interactions between, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. So to start off the lineup, we have 4 copies of Rotting Regisaur. This card is absolutely nuts. I love this card. So it's for 3, 2 and a black. It's a 7/6 zombie dinosaur with at the beginning of your upkeep, you discard a card. This enables us to put our big stuff into the bin, and at a 3 cost, a 7/6 is insanely good stats. This is going to be a huge problem for mono red decks to deal with. It's going to be great. I absolutely love it. I think it's fantastic. 4 copies of Tombbound Lich, which is for 3, 1 a blue and a black. It's a 1/3 zombie wizard with Death Touch and Lifelink, and when it enters the battlefield or deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card and then discard a card. Another thing enabling us to discard our bigger stuff to the bin. Now we're touching on some of the bigger stuff and what will be the more recurrable targets of the deck, which is the 3 copies of Scholar of Ages, which is for 7, 5 and 2 blue. It's a 3/3 human wizard. Those stats are shit, let's be honest, but the ability is what makes it worth wanting to grab from the bin. So when it enters the battlefield, you return up to 2 target instant or sorcery cards from your graveyard to your hand, which is going to allow us to get back all of the Reanimator pieces that we've got, all of our removal, all of our draw card. Really, really good effect. Insanely good for what we're trying to do. Another really fun card that's come from M20 is the 3 copies of Agent of Treachery, which is for 7, 5 and 2 blue. It's a 2/3 human rogue. Again, really shit stats, but the ability is what makes the card. When it enters the battlefield, you gain control of target permanent. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 3 or more permanents you don't own, you draw 3 cards. The thing to note on this is that we just gain control of the permanent. It's not as long as we control this or as long as this is on the board. So we're going to be able to recur this, sacrificing it, bring it back, and then keep gaining control of permanence. So the second ability on the card is not going to be something that's going to be too difficult for us to actually achieve, which is insanely cool. Absolutely love the effect on this card. Yes, at a 7 cost, it is dumb, but with the Reanimator effects in this deck, it starts breaking this card wide open. 3 copies of Ravenous Chupacabra, which is for 4, 2 and 2 black. It's a 2/2 beast horror. When it enters the battlefield, you destroy a target creature an opponent controls. It is an old card, but it is a fantastic card. It's going to rotate out soon. Hopefully we get something that replaces the effect. But for now, Ravenous Chupacabra, definitely wanted at least a 3 of. 2 copies of Villas, Broker of Blood, which is for 8, 5 and 3 black. It's an 8/8 flying demon. Pay 1 black and pay 2 life. Target creature is -1/-1 until end of turn, and whenever you lose life, you draw that many cards. Just huge dumb beater that we can keep getting back with reanimated pieces. Again, enabling us to get the cards that we want into our graveyard. 2 copies of Search for Azcanta. For 2, 1 and a blue. It's a legendary enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you look at the top card of your library. You may put that card into your graveyard, and then if you have 7 or more cards in your graveyard, you transform Search for Azcanta. When you transform it, it turns into Azcanta the Sunken Ruin, which is a legendary land with tap, add 1 blue, or pay 3, 2 and a blue to tap it. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You reveal a non-creature, non-land card from among them, put that card into your hand, and then put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. It's an insanely good card for what we're trying to do in the deck. It's helping us get the cards that we want into the bin, and then later on it's helping us dig for those Reanimator pieces. Really, really cool. 4 copies of Blood for Bones, which is probably the key Reanimator piece in the deck. So it's for 4, 3 and a black. At sorcery speed, as an additional cost to cast this spell, you sacrifice a creature, and then you return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, and then return another target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So it's going to allow us to do stupid loops between, like, turn 3, play the Rotting Regisaur. On turn 4, beginning of our upkeep, we discard a card. We discard, say, a Villas. We then sacrifice that to Blood of Bones. We get back Villas onto the battlefield, and we get this back into our hand, and now allowing us to then play it later. Or continuous loops of play the Chupacabra, kill something, play Blood for Bones, sacrifice the Chupacabra, get the Chupacabra back, get something else back to our hand. You get the idea. The ability to break this card just becomes really easy in this deck with all the synergy. And when we've got the stuff like Scholar of the Ages being able to bring them back again and allow us to play multiple times, that's when the deck starts seeming a lot more busted. To finish off the Reanimator spells in the deck, we're also running 4 copies of Connive to Concoct. Connive is for 4, 2, and 2 hybrid, any combination of blue or black. It's at sorcery speed. You gain control of target creature with power 2 or less, so that synergizes immediately with the Agent of Treachery. But the Concoct is the Reanimator side, which is for 5, 3, a blue, and a black. At sorcery speed, you surveil 3, and then you return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It is a really cool card, albeit a fairly expensive one. 4 copies of Opt to help us draw cards and filter off the top of the deck. So Opt is for 1 blue at instant speed, you scry 1, and then you draw a card. 3 copies of Thought Erasure, which is for 2 blue and a black. It's at sorcery speed. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-lane card from it. That player discards that card. Surveil 1, so then we can put something from the top of our deck into our graveyard, potentially. 3 copies of Tyrant Scorn, which is for 2 blue and a black. It's at instant speed. You choose 1. Destroy target creature with converted mana cost 3 or less, which hits a surprisingly large amount in the format at the moment. Or return target creature to its owner's hand. Again, a card that can be an absolute nightmare for our opponent if we can loop it through the Scholar of Ages and stuff like Blood for Bones. Just being able to constantly bounce the big thing back to their hand or kill their small creatures. Really, really cool. And to finish off the spells in the deck, a couple of copies of Entrancing Melody, which is for X and 2 blue. At sorcery speed, you gain control of target creature with converted mana cost X. Being able to play them potentially 3 or 4 times in a game, really cool. And again, synergizing with the Agent of Treachery. So you can see we're going through a lot of Your Stuff Is Mine, as well as a lot of removal. We've got a heap of the synergy stuff that just puts stuff into our bin, alongside all the Reanimator stuff, and the deck is a hell of a lot of fun to pilot. I've played a few games with it now, and it's really, really cool. Touching on the land base here, we're running 4 copies of Drowned Catacomb, which comes in tapped unless you control an island or swamp. 4 copies of Water Regrave, which comes in tapped unless you pay 2 life. It's an island swamp. 4 copies of Swamp, 4 copies of Island, and 4 copies of Blast Zone, just adding to the removal in the deck. So Blast Zone comes in with a charge counter on it, and then it's got tap, add 1 colorless to your mana pool, or it's got pay 2x, and tap it to put X charge counters on it. And the last ability on the card is pay 3, tap, sack it to destroy each non-land permanent with converted mana cost equal to the number of charge counters on Blast Zone. Because of all the Reanimator stuff in the deck, we don't care about it. Because of all the Reanimator stuff in the deck, we don't care as much about it. But one of the important things to note on this is, because of all the Reanimator stuff in the deck, we don't care too much about killing our own stuff, but there is a huge amount of stuff in the format that we... As I said, just adding to the removal. It's just just adding to the removal, being able to hit any permanence of... As I said, just adding to the removal in the deck, being able to hit any permanence of a specific mana cost. Really good effect. Absolutely love Blast Zone. Touching on the sideboard here, we have 3 copies of Vraska's Contempt for the Planeswalker matchups. For 4, 2 and 2 black at instant speed, you exile target creature or Planeswalker and you gain 2 life. 3 copies of Thief of Sanity, usually in for the control matchups, really effective card. For 3, 1 a blue and a black, it's a 2/2 Spectre with flying. When it does combat damage to a player, you look at the top 3 cards of that player's library. You exile one of them face down and then put the rest into their graveyard. For as long as this card remains exiled, you may look at that card and you may cast it with mana as though it were in a color to cast it. 2 copies of Negate for the counter magic, as well as 2 copies of Sinister Sabotage. So Sinister Sabotage is for 3, 1 and 2 blue, counter target spell at instant speed and surveil 1. Negate at a 2 cost at instant speed, counter target non-creature spell. Some removal in the form of cast down for 2, 1 and a black at instant speed, you destroy target non-legendary creature. And 3 copies of Leyline of the Void for the graveyard matchups. So for 4, 2 and 2 black, it's an enchantment with the Leyline ability, so if it's in your opening hand, you may start the game with it on the battlefield, so it's a free enchantment that has the added ability of, if a card were to be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. Really great for the graveyard matchups. Stuff like Phoenix, any of the Spells Matter decks that care about stuff being in their graveyard, not going to be able to jumpstart anymore. I feel like Leyline of the Void is going to be a card that really matters in people's sideboards going forward. But that is the sideboard, and that is the main board, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the deck. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. If you like the deck, didn't like the deck, if you like the cards, didn't like the cards, if you think I'm missing something, let me know in the comments. But also let me know in the comments if you try this one out, because I've had a hell of a lot of fun putting it together.
Thanks for watching, guys. As always, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to see new videos as they were released. If you like what I do and you want to support the channel, you can throw me $1 on my Patreon at patreon.com/SandersQuest. And I will see you guys in the next video. Keep questing, guys.